Today, we're diving into an incredible legend from 16th century India. It's this epic face-off between the absolute power of an emperor and the unshakable integrity of two young singers. It's a story about art, defiance, and the very real magic of music. Right at the heart of this legend are two sisters, Tana and Riri. Their story, has echoed through the centuries. It's a real testament to this profound choice they made when they were confronted by one of the most powerful men in the world. But before we jump into the time machine and go back to the 16th century, let's just see how this story is still breathing today. Their legacy is so powerful that it's literally the namesake for a major cultural festival in modern India. Yeah, so every single year in their hometown of Vadnagar, the Tana Riri Music Festival gathers some of the absolute greatest classical musicians in the entire country. It's this vibrant celebration that not only honors Tana and Riri, but also presents a super prestigious award in their name, reinforcing the very principles they died for. So this brings us to the big question, right? Who were Tana and Riri? And what on earth did they do that was so profound that it still inspires people to this day? Well, to find out, we've got to travel back to the court of a pretty formidable emperor. All right, let's set the scene. We're going back to the 16th century, during the reign of the great Mughal Emperor Akbar. Now, he was a huge patron of the arts, and his court was just filled with luminaries, including one of the greatest musicians in all of Indian history. And that musician was Tansen. Legend has it his skill was so great his voice could literally perform miracles. So Emperor Akbar commands Tansen to prove it by singing Raag Deepak, that's the raga of fire, which was said to be able to physically light lamps. Tansen warned against it, but the emperor insisted. And he sang. The lamps lit up, but it came at a terrible, terrible cost. The music sparked this internal fire in his body that no doctor could put out. So, afflicted by this magical fire, Tansen begins this desperate search all across India. But here's the thing, he isn't looking for a doctor. He's looking for another musician, one with a power that's equal and opposite to his own. Now, for those of you who might not know, a raga in Indian classical music is so much more than just a melody. Think of it like a complex framework of notes that's designed to evoke specific moods, certain times of day, and, as this legend suggests, maybe even control the elements themselves. And this gets to the powerful duality at the heart of the story. Tansen sang Raag Deepak, the fire, and it's literally consuming him from the inside out. The only cure is its polar opposite, Raag Malhar, the rain. He desperately needs to find someone who can sing it with enough mastery to summon a literal storm. His journey eventually leads him, burning and in complete agony, to the town of Vadnagar. And it's there that he hears about two twin sisters who were renowned for their absolutely incredible voices. According to one version of the legend, he actually approached them in disguise, not as the emperor's famous musician, but just as a simple man in agony. He pleaded with them, explaining that their musical gift was the only thing in the world that could save his life. These sisters, they were Tana and Riri, and moved by the stranger's suffering, they compassionately agreed to sing the Raag Malhar to try and heal him. And what happened next is it's the stuff of legends. As Tana and Riri began to sing, the clear sky reportedly filled with dark clouds. Rain began to fall, drenching Tansen and extinguishing that internal fire that was torturing him. Just like that, he was cured. So Tansen returns to the capital. He's healed, he's grateful, but an act of kindness like this musical miracle, well, it wasn't going to stay a secret for long, and it would soon force the sisters to make a truly impossible choice. So when Emperor Akbar learned how his greatest musician was cured, he was completely astounded. He immediately sent what he probably saw as a great honor, an invitation, but what was really a summons for these masterful singers to come perform at his royal court. But this royal summons, an opportunity that most artists would probably dream of, was a spiritual crisis for Tana and Riri. And that's because they lived by a sacred vow. As members of the Nagar Brahmin community, their vow was absolute. Their musical gift was a form of worship, something to be offered only before their village deity. They would not perform for any mortal ruler, not even the emperor. So they politely refused the emperor's command. But Akbar, well, he was not an emperor who was used to hearing the word no. When they wouldn't come willingly, he sent his army to go get them. And this created this unyielding standoff, putting the sisters in a terrible position: break their sacred vow or watch their town face the wrath of an imperial army. Faced with this completely impossible choice, they chose a third path. To protect their vow and to save their town from conflict, Tana and Riri took their own lives. Some accounts say they drowned themselves in a well, others say they took poison. But all versions of the legend agree on this: they chose death over compromising their principles. It's an absolutely tragic end to their lives, for sure, but it is not the end of their story, not by a long shot. In fact, their ultimate sacrifice transformed them from just talented singers into these immortal symbols of artistic integrity. Their legacy began to grow almost immediately. A memorial was built in their honor. A grief-stricken Tansen reportedly created a whole new style of music for them. And then, centuries later, in 2010, the government of Gujarat cemented their place in history by creating the Tana Riri Music Festival. Their act of defiance has just echoed through time. Their memorial still stands as a site of pilgrimage. Their story is woven deep into Gujarati folk culture, and their names have become synonymous with this powerful idea that art must serve a higher purpose than just the whims of power. The legend of Tana and Riri really leaves us with a powerful question, doesn't it? Emperor Akbar had armies, he had palaces, immeasurable wealth. The sisters, they had only their voices and their convictions. So, when art and power collide, what truly endures? See you in the next episode of the Samvaad Project podcast.